Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. And thank you for joining another Kneat webinar. We are very excited to have you here. Today we are talking about calculating the ROI of digital validation. And we have a couple great speakers from Kneat Solutions to talk us through how we get that return on investment from digital validation. First off, I want to talk about some housekeeping in case you haven't joined us before for a webinar. So to the right of our video screen, you'll see a few modules that you can engage with us with. The first one being chat. We've got Alfred in the chat joining us from California. Thank you, Alfred. Please let us know where you're joining in from. Let us know some of your comments, some of your insights today, about what you're seeing through the webinar. We love to engage with you in that chat, and we'll be there throughout the webinar. That is where you can chat with each other. If you have questions for our presenters or for me throughout the panel, if you have any questions about what we're talking about Kneat Solutions, about Kneat Gx as a software, you can put those in the Q&A module within the chat. That's a different box. You'll see that up on the above the right-hand side of your video panel there. The last one is our polls module. That already has an active poll running. We'll check in with that in just a moment in a couple slides, but that will have an interactive poll that you can tell us where you're at in your stage, in your journey to digitization. Otherwise, we love that you're here. Thank you for joining us. Those are the ways to chat with us live. If you are watching this on demand and have questions, or if you want to send us feedback on the webinar, we love to hear feedback on our webinar program, how we can improve and what else you'd like to hear about, or any general questions about Kneat. You can always reach out to us at info@kneat.com. That's info@kneat.com. So you'll get a follow-up email with a copy of the presentation and recording from today's webinar. Feel free to take a look at that again and let us know any feedback that you have. Like I said, thank you, Roxana, for joining from Germany. Welcome, welcome. Just a brief stop here for the copyright and disclaimer statement. All rights reserved for Kneat. And I'll talk a little bit about our agenda today. So we will hear from Amy Wilhite and Emma Carey, two of Kneat's very own best and brightest, to talk about the solutions that Kneat provides and the return on investment that you can expect for changing to a digitalization or digital validation platform. So we'll talk about what exactly is ROI, the challenges in forecasting those ROI costs and revenue opportunities, key factors influencing your ROI realization, what to do with your ROI forecast, how to calculate the ROI, and then we'll do an example calculation based on some Kneat case studies and what you can expect and see real world results from Kneat customers that we've seen. And it's not listed here, but then we'll have a brief Q&A at the end for whatever time we have and whatever questions we can get to. So I've talked a lot about what we're hearing today, but in case you haven't joined us before and maybe you don't know who Kneat is or what Kneat does, well, Kneat Solutions is a software company that we service the life sciences industries and any industry really that needs validation or any validation process like that, be it manufacturing or product or anything like that. We are a public company listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. We are a global team headquartered in Ireland, but with staff all around the world, US, Canada, Europe, and Ireland as well. We're used by over 100 clients, and of course, 8 of the top 10 largest life science organizations in the world. And that includes 3 of the 4 COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers. So when you need validation to get a product right first time and to market quickly, you can trust on Kneat. All of our development for our software is done in-house, and that's for quality reasons. We don't outsource any of our development for our software. And that is also for security. We keep ISO certified to make sure that your data, your information is safe within our product. And we do that for 40,000 plus users and on the software as a service platform, and over 400 global sites where that digitalization platform is deployed. But that's enough about our current customers. We do want to hear from you. So I talked about that interactive poll. Go ahead and click into that poll now and tell us Where are you in your journey to digitalization? Are you starting today with today's webinar? This is the first you've heard of digitalization, or are you on your initial discovery? You've got some prep work done and some discussions done, and you're figuring out how best to launch. Maybe you're just at that stage where you're ready to launch your first digitalization project, and you're looking for what comes next or what can you get out of it. Or maybe you've got some projects already being delivered digitally and validated digitally. You're looking how to scale up in those projects and get more projects underway. So let's see here. We've got a few votes in, and we're looking at a pretty even 50-50 split between that initial discovery phase and some projects being delivered digitally already. Okay, those are great results. We love to just see where you're at in your process, where Bart is 25 years on my way in digitalization. That's fantastic, Bart. We love to hear that. Then you will be right along with us on your ROI and your return on investment. But it's great to have you here to calculate that as well, and spread the good word about digitalization. All right, so I think we'll end there. Well, I'll keep the poll open so that everyone who may be a little bit behind can finish putting their answers in. But it looks like we're 60-40 right now. 60% have some projects delivered digitally already, and 40% are in that initial discovery phase. That's great. That's exactly where we want to see everyone, and we hope that we can teach you a few things about digitalization, even if you are already have some projects delivered. But that is enough from me. I want to introduce two of, like I said, Kneat's best and brightest. We have Emma Carey and Amy Wilhite here, who will take over the reins now to talk about what exactly is ROI and how does Kneat calculate your ROI for switching to a digital validation platform. Emma, Amy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, James, and welcome everyone.
Yep, happy to be here.
Excellent. Take it away.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I suppose we'll go through some slides on a little bit of background on ROI, on maybe challenges, forecasting ROI, etc. And then Amy's going to take us through our own ROI calculator and the different steps that you can take maybe to prepare for sending us over your information and for us to calculate your ROI as well. So to start off, what is ROI? So again, it is the amount of profit generated compared to the amount of investment, and this is normally expressed as a percentage. So say for example, we make $15 and we spend five, and the ROI for that would be 200%. So we're taking what we made, which is our 15, we're taking away what we spent, which would be our five, giving us 10, and then we're dividing that by our spent, which would be 5, to give us 2, and then we're multiplying that by 100 to give us our percentage, which would be 200%. Okay, so saving or making money. So obviously it's easy to know how much you invest. In each you'll have your initial purchase cost, and then you obviously have the labor cost of the implementation. Profit is a little bit trickier. So you have to look at more than obviously just the time saved. You have to look at your increased productivity, every step that's impacted, and what that means for everyone else. So obviously coming from your paper or hybrid step, and then moving to Kneat, there is going to be a significant change, and obviously as well maybe more efficiencies. So we'll take test execution for example. So maybe on paper you are executing that by hand, and then any evidence such as attachments, screenshots have to be manually added in as attachments after the fact. But within Kneat you have your digital test execution online. You can have more than one executor executing a protocol at the same time. You've got your inbuilt issue management system, so if an issue does occur, you can add it straight into your recorded value cells, and also your evidence and your screenshots can go straight up, and then you can sign off using your 21 CFR Part 11 compliance signature. So everything is within the one platform. Also your review and approval. So in turn, obviously that will speed up, your process, and in turn, you will get savings from that. Okay, so I suppose challenges for forecasting the ROI. So to calculate the ROI, first you will need to know the information required. So knowing your metrics and where to find these metrics. So maybe it would be you finding this out all out on your own, or maybe you have to reach out to different teams or stakeholders to find out this information. So some of your inputs may require estimates, but obviously the more sites and processes and teams you have, it'll be maybe a little bit more time consuming to gather all this information, but obviously in the long term it's worth it to get a more realistic value out of the ROI calculator. And then obviously challenges in forecasting the revenue opportunity. So to determine the potential revenue raised, projections are obviously necessary. So, you can identify in the example of products, what products are impacted, what revenue is generated, and also how much faster these may get to market. So, other key factors that would influence your ROI realization. So, obviously, the more you use Kneat, the more return you will see. And as your users get trained up and more users become familiar with the application, the quicker it will be to, generate protocols, complete test execution, review approval, etc. And Kneat, obviously, it has no additional cost per process. So, it is license driven, so you can add in, as many different processes as you wish, from your computer systems to equipment to cleaning, etc. And then your cost will go down. So the return will stay the same or it will grow. And then obviously if you're rolling out to different sites, so maybe your first initial site, site A, it's $1, site B might be 90 cent, site C 85 cent, and on and so forth. So each site should expect comparable results and cost savings and revenue. And thus then you're obviously improving your ROI as Kneat is rolled out throughout your organization as well. Okay, so validation costs. So they can be a challenge. So sometimes it might be necessary to present the numbers in other terms, so that the leaders or the higher up in your different organizations can see the impact. So in this year's our state of validation report, it surveyed different validation professionals from all around the world, and more than 2/3 said that validation represents 8% or more of the overall budget. So obviously, if you are, reducing your validation cycle times by 50%, it is resulting in an overall cost saving of that entire project. So this obviously in turn will show the importance of saving time on the individual steps. And as I said, giving the example of test execution, but also, review and approval. So using your hybrid or paper method, you might have to take a document and go to different buildings to get different approvals signed off on it. Whereas within Kneat, with the click of a button, you can assign your different users from your different roles or departments and at different stages in the approval cycle, and they'll get an email instantaneously allowing them to log in, go review, approve the document and sign off instantaneously. And obviously because Kneat is accessible through your web browser, so it is a SaaS solution, you can access it through any device as well, so it's at your fingertips. Okay, so validation aspires to be value adding. So validation teams want to kind of move away from being seen as, maybe a cost center, and a more valued addition to the organization. And this obviously in turn can be, put in as part of your business case. So Amy, in a moment, we'll go through the different questions that we will send out. So we will send it out to you. There will also be an explanation of all the questions that we have asked. And also there'll be a common response. So what we're seeing coming back from some of our customers. And then when that's generated and you're kind of happy, so we can run more than one, if you've got different processes or you wanted to see it from a global or maybe site specific, we can run different ROI calculators, and then we can present them in a PowerPoint presentation to you. And then obviously you can present that to your internal people as well. Okay, so what to do with an ROI forecast? So obviously, a good business case has hard numbers and benefits, but it will also tie in, the requests for the organizational goals. So your digital transformation, your focus on quality, and then obviously you will have some soft benefits also with Kneat, like its ease of use and its audit readiness at any time. So with our new area, our collections area, you're audit ready at any time. You can just pull in your documentation. Everything is within the one platform. So it's saving you, preparing for an audit a weeks on end. Everything is there within the one platform, and you can obviously give access to that particular collection, and it's all there in front of you as well. So now I'll just hand over to Amy to go through the different inputs.
Thanks, Emma. So when we were kind of developing our ROI calculator, we knew the metrics that we wanted to calculate against. A lot of the Kneat subject matter experts here on our team have a background in validation or in life sciences executing documentation on paper. So we know what it was like before the process was digitized, and we know what it's like after the process is digitized. So we have metrics from both to compare against. So some of the things that we're looking for, we calculate based on some customer inputs. And so these are the questions that we ask to prospective customers regarding their particular processes and their projects that they have on site, so that we can kind of determine what their time savings would be on executing the deliverables and the content on paper versus digitally, and that way they can determine what their return on investment would be when they purchase the application. So these questions would be, for example, how many times a year do you execute a validation activity? For a lot of our customers, that's hundreds of times a year. So that determines about how many sets of deliverables that we can calculate with. The next question within that set of deliverables, how many are going to be the overview documents like plans, reports, impact assessments, risk matrices? And those are going to be calculated a different way than the other documents, because it takes a little bit longer to get those documents developed in a way that will report on the things that you've done in that project, like summary report or trace matrix. Those are taking all of the results that you've done in the project so far, and you're having to compile them manually on paper, or in like a paper to glass scenario, you're having to compile that manually in your document. So we can calculate metrics based on that versus based on some of our smart features in Kneat that can pull in some of that data automatically for you. The next question, how many are that can help us calculate how long it might take for you to generate a trace matrix. If you've got several requirements and several specs that you're needed to trace back to several different test documents, that might take you a long time to manually generate that trace matrix, where we can automate that kind of activity in the Kneat application. Having the number, question 4, for how many executable test protocols you have is also a different calculation, because we can calculate exactly how long it would take you to get that document normally drafted, reviewed, pre-approved, released for testing, have an executor trained on it, have that executor be actually performing with wet signatures on paper the execution of that activity, and then getting all of that reviewed and post-approved. So we ask those questions for which kinds of documents are actually test documents, because those may have additional things that come out of them, which have to do with question 4 and question 5, where we kind of calculate within one protocol from question 4, how many test cases, test scripts, test sections are included in that protocol. Some protocols may only have a couple tests, depending on the customer's process or the type of process that you're working with. Maybe an equipment validation process is only a few steps because it's just doing temperature mapping or something like that. Whereas the CSV project may have 100 test scripts in it because you're validating an initial system. So we like to quantify exactly how large your protocol is actually going to be to get an accurate read on these inputs per customer. And then depending on how many discrepancies you normally see, we can actually calculate a reduction in that when you switch to the Kneat platform, because having the ability to automate a lot of things just reduces discrepancies in general. So we can pull that into our calculations with historical data that we've collected in case studies. And then, of course, we can multiply all of these time savings that we've collected up until this point with these questions based on how many sites you have. So if you have all of these time savings, questions 1 through 6 at one location, then we can just quantify that even more based on how many sites you have and if they share those same processes. Some additional questions that we like to throw in would include things like if the customer is happen to pay for long-term paper storage. Not all customers do, so some of these are more optional. And we can kind of reduce the cost that you normally see with having to take your giant paper binders that may be in like a 3-inch binder and having to lug them to like the local document repository and getting them stored in a box and archived, and all of the labor that it takes to do that internally to get that organized, plus the fees for the actual facility that you're using to do that. So those are going to be cost savings that are going to be added into your return on investment because everything is digital with a digital platform like Kneat, for example. How many audits you have can be taken into effect because all of those activities can be compounded as far as having to go to a paper facility to collect an old binder that the auditor happened to want to look at would be something that's going to obviously be a huge savings for a customer because they can just pull it up in their archive in the Kneat application digitally and show the auditor that. We have special auditor access only permissions and access rights so that we can do that. You can pull all of your documentation into digital collections very instantly without having to compile everything in a control room like most customers are used to having to doing during audits. So it's a lot easier to maintain. It's a lot less time and effort to compile that information. It makes the audits go by a lot faster, which is just more savings for you. Other things like the maintenance of your documentation. A lot of customers find that maintaining the templates digitally just helps the process go a lot faster than it would be on paper. A lot of templates are not, especially things like specifications, plans, reports, protocols. With a paper to glass system, a lot of customers are just kind of pulling up the most recent protocol that happened to be executed that they have saved in their like local shared drives. And then they're just reusing those and they're not as controlled and they're not being reviewed as quickly as you can with the digital system. So having the ability to keep all your templates in the digital archive where everyone can access the latest and greatest thing saves time, saves you from having discrepancies, which saves time, and saves you from getting audit observations for issues that you have with consistency issues, which also saves time. So how many employees at your site location, all of the time savings that we have calculated with these questions up until this point is mostly in the form of labor hours saved. So if you provide an hourly wage for like your general validation team, for example, like an average for your validation team, then you can kind of get an estimate for how many dollars that is saved in labor hours that you can use to kind of assess how many team members it might make you might need to complete those activities in a given area. As a lot of those teams are subcontracted and things like that. So that all helps you determine what your return on investment might be depending on the resources that you need to complete those activities. And then the other one, hourly wage, same thing, depends on how many employees that you have, and then how many systems you have at your individual site location. And that just helps to compound the things like periodic review and helping us calculate the numbers a little bit more effectively, because not every validation activity that you have is an initial system being validated. You also have to continue to revalidate a lot of the systems at your site. So having an estimate for how many systems require revalidation will help us estimate exactly how many projects that you have that include any kind of validation, regardless of the scope. If it's initial full validation for an initial deployment or an initial validation of a system, or if it's just something like a periodic review or requalification, continuous maintenance of a system, things like that can help us determine all of those inputs more representative to each customer who fills out these questionnaires. And then just because we know we have to stay somewhat generic with these kinds of questions, especially for to cover a wide range of different types of companies that might require the digital validation services. We do have some specific assumptions that we make based on our expertise in the field, plus the case studies that we've collected to date. So they're data-based and experience-based assumptions. So we have feedback from our customers. We have published case studies on our website that have metrics and things like that from our partners and from our customers about their time savings. So collecting the data from those, completing the deployments using our professional services team and having the experience from that team to input onto this ROI calculator. And then just having the industry experience where most of our process engineers came from the background. And they know what it was like on paper. Having all of those three things kind of weigh in to help us create this ROI calculator that we use and make sure that the inputs and the calculations we have are representative of the actual industry. So some of those assumptions are there below. Things like how many authors it takes to collaborate on a document, because it's not always just one person. So that might weigh into how long it takes you to do things. Having an estimated 30% reduction in discrepancies when you're using Kneat over paper, so we can calculate, how much time it takes you to do a discrepancy on paper versus in Kneat, but then also reduce that number by 30 to a 30% reduction. How many screenshots it might take you to do per test case, which is another reason why we ask how many test cases you have, to know how many times you would have to compile like a giant library of screenshots and number and name them and attach it as an appendix versus the smart features in Kneat that allow you to just copy in a screenshot that you've just captured on your desktop instantly, for example, that assigns it auto numbers and traceability and metadata that attaches it to that protocol. All that's all taken care of. So a lot of those things are assumptions that we've made. So you can review those there if you've got some curiosities about some of the other assumptions that we've made. And then this is pretty much an example of what our list looks like that we actually send out to customers. So this is where we've asked the customers questions 1 through 13, and then they've fed back with a value in the orange column here. So for example, how many times a year do you validate, and do you do a validation activity? 100 times a year. You've got 5 sets of deliverables each time you do that. How many of those are the reports or protocols? Do you have individual sites? This one's just for one site. Do you pay for bulk storage? Yes. So this particular example, they've input all these values, and then over on the right, using all of our handy dandy special equations and calculations that we use these inputs to calculate against, we've kind of devised the output of what those savings would be. So you had a total of 33 steps that a person had to complete on paper with our estimates based on this calculator to do a validation activity on paper, or in a paper to glass, hybrid scenario. And then that reduced to 24 steps in blue when you switch over to Kneat. So, 9 steps there that you've got reduced for a percentage of process step reduction of 27%. So it's less steps that you have to do when you go digital. The amount of actual time that you spent on doing those activities in a paper hybrid system in hours, it's like 11,300. You go to a digital system, now you're only spending 4,800 hours. So you've got a 10% time reduction of 57%. So you're saving almost 60% in the amount of time that it would have taken you to do that on paper. So that's the amount of hours saved. And then you calculate that based on how many employees you're saying it takes to do that, based on their hourly wage that you've reported that it takes them to do that. And you can see that multiplied by the number of projects you have at that location can be quite a large amount of time and money savings for a company. And these are just some of the example of the step reductions. If you're curious about that 27% step reduction. These are the steps that you see with a paper hybrid, and then you can see a lot of those are reduced when you go to Kneat, because you don't have to do things like collate pages anymore. That's already done automatically in the system. You don't have to scan documents into QMS in order to archive them. You don't have to transport your documents to the facility. You don't have to generate your RTM manually. That's done automatically. So a lot of those steps are just totally taken away, and you don't have to do them anymore at all once you've switched over. So we take that into account with our return on investment. So this is just another little snapshot of those savings from that example calculator, so that you can see the results there with the reduction of steps, the reduction in hours, and how that translates to your return on investment is that you can have that the percent reduction multiplied by your employee hours and wage, and that's going to be your actual labor cost savings for switching over to the platform. So yeah, these are some of the customer results with Kneat in general. So these come from our case studies, the ones that I indicated that we have on our website. So a lot of the values and things that we have in our calculator for our return on investment calculator come from these case studies. And so that is indicated here. So things like changeover time can reduce that by up to 85%. Labor hours, 50 to 65%. That's pretty close to what we saw in that example that we just did for the ROI calculator. The actual validation lifecycle time can be reduced by 50%. So all of those reviews and approvals that you're having to do on paper and lugging binders around in people's desks, the entire process time that it takes to do a validation activity is just reduced as well. So that gets you to market faster and things like that. And then having the actual savings there for the deployment for use those systems faster. So 65% less validation hours, 46% fewer process steps, 40% more efficient. Those are all also values that come from case studies. So you'll see values close to those numbers whenever you're using the ROI calculator and inputting your own custom values. They're all going to come out relatively close to what we've seen historically. They're a little bit different for each customer because each customer has different processes and things like that. But we see these values pretty commonly for most of our customers. And that's the example there of the case study. So I'll hand that back over to Emma.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, so I suppose a very good example of a customer that really kind of took on Kneat and the platform and really rolled it out to a lot of their validation processes. So you can see there they have 7 of their validation processes within Kneat, from cleaning to computer systems to equipment. That is on our website if you want to look at it in a little bit more detail after the webinar. But they have scaled also to 27 sites. So they rolled out so all of their different processes, they have them across 27 of their different sites. And then they have more than 50% cycle time reduction in test execution. So obviously when you go live with Kneat, at the beginning, it will take a little bit of time to ramp up, getting users trained on the system, adding in your different processes, maybe rolling out to different sites. But then once you're up and running with the application, you will see that return on investment and that cost savings and the labor time savings as well. Okay, Bart was using Kneat and MSD. That's very good. So then 26% process steps eliminated. And what they actually did as well was 3 of their QMS systems they consolidated. So with the use of Kneat, everything as you know is in the one platform. So all of your activities is within the one area. So you don't have to be using maybe different solutions for different things. As you can use Kneat for those as well. So it generated very significant value in dollars, and they have been an e-customer since 2019. Okay, so why should we work together? So, obviously, we will build out your business case. So, as Amy said, we will provide you with those 13 questions, the description in a little bit more detail, also commonly, given responses and then your responses. Also, if you're not sure on some of the questions, we're happy to set up a call with you to talk through it because, some customers have different um, acronyms and different verbiage for different activities. So if you are struggling to kind of get the information or you're not clear on certain questions, we're happy to get on a call with you and talk through them. And as I said, we can run a few different scenarios, based on your different processes, how many sites, etc. So then obviously there would be a massive saving in man hours. So as you saw that Amy did her work example, there was a significant reduction in the process steps and then in time reduction, and obviously then in turn in your labor cost saving as well. So, Neat, we do have an 100% success for deployment on time, and we also have 100% customer retention, with more than 100 of our customers satisfied, and rising fast as well. So scaling out, to different sites, adding in more processes to the application as well. So we meet your timelines, obviously your business requirements, and we will start you on your digital validation journey. Obviously James ran that poll there, so some of you guys are just starting out, others, are at different stages, and whatever stage you're at, we will work with you to help you as well. So all of our customers are successfully scaling Kneat, for multiple validation processes across multiple sites. As you can see there, MSD was a really good example with their 7 processes across 27 sites. So that obviously in turn will improve the ROI for that particular company, and their cost effectiveness as well with the scaling of Kneat to other processes. And finally, so validation, it obviously is a critical GMP business process. So choosing the right digital validation solution is an extremely important decision. So yeah, obviously, you need to build your business case, and the ROI calculator is a really good tool to see that, and maybe to present to the leaders of your organization. So again, because a lot of the times, they need to see the kind of real return in investing in a solution. So that is a really good helpful tool as well. And each then has obviously the right first time approach, so decreasing change management issues with the right tool. So it's a great digital validation culture with a strong ROI and avoiding GMP risks as well. So I know James is going to send out this slide when we have completed the webinar, but you can scan that QR code, and you can set up booking your ROI consultation today. So we will, as I said, send out those questions to you, and we can get on a call with you and discuss in further detail and help you build your business case as well.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Emma. That is exactly right. We will send out all of this information for how everyone today can book their ROI consultation. Something we're excited to offer to prospective clients, prospective users in Kneat. And now we are at the point of Q&A. So we're happy to take any questions from the audience. If you have them in the Q&A box or just put them into chat, we're happy to discuss anything that comes up. In the meantime, I will talk a little bit more about the upcoming Kneat webinars that we have. We have a monthly demo webinar that happens every month on June 25th is this month's webinar. They always happen at the end of the month, so we'll have one June 25th. If you miss that one, don't worry, we'll have another one in July, towards the end of July, and more information will be out about that one soon. We're about to announce a great slew of new webinars for the quarter. They haven't quite been announced yet, but you can keep an eye on Kneat.com or on our social media, on LinkedIn, Kneat Solutions, or on X, formerly Twitter, Kneat Solutions as well, to stay informed on all of the latest content that we have coming out, including our webinars, our ebooks, our blog posts, and more case studies from customers like we've seen here with MSD. But we are happy to take any questions we have. I'm not seeing any questions, but just to give us another minute or so, Amy, Emma, any final thoughts or parting thoughts that you have for our audience? the floor is yours.
Yeah, I suppose really just kind of getting those metrics correct. Because yeah, what we've seen, some prospects are coming to us with their metrics, and then we run the calculator and the number maybe isn't adding up, and we go back a few times over, and that's no problem. So having them as right as you can, I suppose, first time when you come to us, or maybe having a few different scenarios. So some customers would have their CSV process, and others then would have their equipment, and they'd come to us and ask, can you run the two scenarios just to see the time and cost savings. So I suppose, yeah, your metrics, and Amy will probably join in on this, but they are probably the most important thing to get it right. But we can obviously work with you and go back and forth a few different times to get it right, to be able to present internally as well.
Yeah, that's right. And we try to, in the calculations, we try to allow the customer to kind of indicate what their average numbers are. But if you find that it's easier for you to provide just input on initial validation, projects, and then go back and provide another set of inputs on just your revalidation efforts, because maybe those are vastly different. Maybe you're looking at 20 deliverables versus 3 deliverables, depending on what type of project it is, then that's something that could easily be factored in as well. So they're flexible. Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. We still don't have any questions in, so I'm going to just assume that you guys did an amazing job, and I know you did an amazing job of covering everything that people had to talk about. But I will remind everyone on the next slide on our thank you video to close us out, there'll be information on how to contact Kneat. But of course, you can email us anytime, info@kneat.com. That's info@kneat.com for more information. And one of our representatives will be happy to answer any of your questions, set up a one-on-one demo, or share any resources that we have available to you, including the ROI calculator, and get that consultation booked. But either way, I want to thank Amy and Emma for their insights today and taking us through this presentation. I want to thank all of you for joining us for another Kneat webinar. Please, as I mentioned before, follow us on social media, engage, get on our mailing list so you can hear more about what Kneat has. We have the State of Validation Report. Our webinar for that was last week. The State of Validation Report is still coming out soon, so you can get on the mailing list to see that, see the executive summary, and watch the playback of the webinar, all from our website, Kneat.com. That State of Validation Report is very important to our industry and something that Kneat does every year. So I couldn't let us go without throwing in a plug for that. But thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you on another Kneat webinar. We'll see you soon.